You ever wonder why Brazil exports a ton of coffee or why Japan exports so many cars? I mean, it seems kind of obvious, right? But behind those simple facts is this huge economic mystery. Why do countries trade the specific things they do? Well, today we're going to put on our detective hats and solve a really big piece of that puzzle. So let's get started. So here it is. This is our central mystery, all wrapped up in a simple question. Basically, it's asking which of these four big theories explains trade based on what a country already has a lot of. And listen, this isn't just some dry textbook question, okay? The answer to this, it's like a key that unlocks how the whole global economy actually ticks. Okay, every good mystery needs a key clue, right? Well, this is ours. It's the phrase, relative abundance of factors of production. I know, it sounds super academic and stuffy, but all it really means is the stuff a country has a whole lot of, things like land or workers or tech. This phrase is our smoking gun. We're going to take this clue and hold it up against each of our four suspect theories to see which one is the perfect match. All right, first up in our lineup of suspects is the oldest of the bunch, the gold hoarders. You might know it by its official name, mercantilism. And to really get this one, we've got to jump in a time machine and head way back to the 16th century. Back then, this was the playbook for any country that wanted to get seriously rich. So the mercantilist philosophy was dead simple. Sell way more stuff than you buy. And why would you do that? Well, to pile up giant mountains of gold and silver, of course. They saw trade as a straight-up battle, a zero-sum game. If I win, you lose. It was all about hoarding that treasure. Okay, so how does this stack up against our key clue? Is mercantilism all about a relative abundance of factors of production? Nope, not even close. It's all about one thing, gold. So this theory is definitely not our guy. Let's cross suspect number one off the list. All right, one suspect down, 3 to go. Let's bring in suspect number 2, the theory of absolute advantage. This one basically asks a simple question: what if a country is just flat out the best at making something? This idea, which came from the famous Adam Smith, was a massive leap forward from that old school gold hoarding way of thinking. This theory is all about efficiency, pure and simple. If your country can produce something, let's say textiles, using way less labor or fewer resources than any other country, boom, you have an absolute advantage. So what's the smart move? You specialize in textiles, you make a ton of them, and you export them to the world. Okay, now let's bring our clue back in. Does it match? Well, absolute advantage is about being the best, the most efficient producer. But remember our clue? It's about having the most of something, an abundance of stuff. It's a subtle difference, but it's a huge one. So this theory doesn't fit the bill either. 2 down, 2 to go. Okay, on to suspect number 3. This one's a bit more modern. It's called the innovation cycle, or more formally, the product life cycle theory. Now this one shifts our focus. We're not looking at what a country has, like land or gold. Instead, we're looking at how trade changes for a single product as it gets older. Think about it like this. Picture a brand new, cutting-edge smartphone. It's probably invented and first built in a really innovative, wealthy country, right? But what happens over time? As it gets more common and easier to make, production moves to countries where it's just cheaper to assemble. This theory is all about tracking that journey, from a shiny new invention to a standard everyday item. So does it match our clue about a country's abundance of resources? Again, it's a no. The product life cycle theory is all about the life of a product, not the built-in advantages of a country. It's a cool theory, and it explains a different part of the trade puzzle, but it's not the solution to our mystery, which means we've only got one suspect left. All right, this is it. This brings us to our final suspect, and just maybe the solution to our whole mystery, the Heckscher Ohlin theory. We've already ruled out theories based on gold, on being the most efficient, and on a product's timeline, so the pressure is really on. Let's see if this is the one that finally cracks the case for us. Okay, now I want you to look really closely at this one. The Heckscher Ohlin theory argues that what a country exports all comes down to the resources it has in abundance. It focuses directly on a country's factors of production. Things like land, labor, and capital. Does that ring a bell? And there it is. Bingo! It's a perfect match. The entire Heckscher Ohlin theory is literally built around our key clue, the relative abundance of factors of production. We found it. Mystery solved. This is our answer. So, okay, we've solved the mystery, but our investigation isn't quite over yet. Why does this theory actually matter in the real world? Well, to get that, we need to zoom in a little closer on what these factors of production really are. When you see all four theories laid out side by side like this, it just becomes crystal clear, doesn't it? Mercantilism was all about gold. Absolute advantage was about being the most efficient. The product life cycle was about how a product ages. But only one, Heckscher Ohlin, zooms right in on a country's natural built-in resources. So what are these factors we keep talking about? It's actually pretty simple. First, you've got land, and that means all the natural resources. Think oil, forests, good farmland. Then you've got labor, which is just the people, the workers, whether they're highly skilled or not. And finally, capital. That's the machinery, the factories, the infrastructure, and of course the money to make it all happen. And really, this is the big takeaway. The beauty of the Heckscher Ohlin theory is that it just says countries should play to their strengths. It makes perfect sense, right? If your country is covered in forests, you export lumber. If your country has tons of brilliant engineers, you export complex electronics. It's just about using what you've got. And that really brings us to the final big idea. Because this isn't just some abstract economic theory. It helps explain the world you see every day. So I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. What is your country's greatest, most abundant resource? Is it land? Is it a skilled workforce? Or maybe today it's something totally new, like data or innovation? Because when you can answer that, you start to understand a whole lot about your country's role in the global economy, not just today, but for the future.